Joining me now to talk more about the housing challenges facing South Florida's LGBTQ community is Dylan Brooks from the Compass Community Center in Palm Beach County, Cindy Brown, Program Manager at Lamda Living, and Steve Rothaus, LGBTQ issues reporter at the Miami Herald. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Serious issues that we saw in that piece. Breaks your heart to see youth struggling so much and going through that. Dylan, let's start with you. There were some people in that program that you know. Bryant is one of them that you've worked with. Tell us a little bit about Compass, what it does, and how it helps people like Bryant.
So Compass, we are the only LGBT community center in Palm Beach County, and actually the only LGBT direct service provider in Palm Beach County. So at Compass, we have a lot of different services that we provide, not only to the LGBT community, but also the community at large. So we have support groups for anyone who identifies anywhere along the LGBT spectrum. We have free HIV testing, medical case management for our HIV positive clients. And then through the 100-day challenge, we actually became a point of entry for homeless youth to come in and get assessed and then get and help them work through the system.
Tell us a little bit more about what that actually is, the 100-day challenge.
Okay. So the 100-day challenge was started by the Rapid Results Institute, and it was an initiative set aside for different communities in the country. So we were part of the second cohort with 4 other communities in the country to kind of like look at what does it look like to be homeless and what does it look like to go through the system of homelessness, specifically for youth and young adults. So I was one of the co-team leads for Palm Beach County with representation from 13 other organizations in the county to come together, look at our system and how to better assess and better work with youth so they don't get bottlenecked in the system.
Steve Rothaus, you have been a Miami Herald reporter for over 30 years. We were talking about that earlier. And your beat became the LGBT community about 21 years ago, really after the Gianni Versace murders occurred.
Exactly.
So talk about your perspective when you see a piece like that. What comes to mind?
Well, you know, through the years, I've been covering LGBT for more than 20 years, and I've met many young people who have, you know, very matter-of-factly told me that, you know, they had no place to stay. People who were thrown out. I mean, we're talking about 12, 14, 15-year-old kids. One young girl I remember meeting at FIU, it must be about almost 20 years ago, and she very matter-of-factly told me that she was living with 2 elderly women who had taken her in. And she was about 14. I said, really? I said, how old are these women? She said, 35. So, I mean, you have to remember, these are kids. I mean, it's funny, but these are children who have been put out into the streets. I wrote a story about 8 years ago about the Pride Line's prom queen who came out in the story to his family and the next day was thrown out of his house. Parents told him, take your keys and leave. And he lived in his car and ended up dancing in a club in Fort Lauderdale to support himself. So, I mean, this is a very real problem. When you talk about the numbers, the percentages, that on a given night in January of 2016, HUD estimated that there were nearly 550,000 homeless people, and that 31% of those people were under the age of 24. And then when we find out that 40% of the homeless youth identify as LGBTQ, well, then we're talking about perhaps 68,000 young kids who were out on the streets on that night in January.
It's an astronomical number.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Cindy, I want to bring you in here because you are the head of Lamda Living, which is this great program that we talked about that Jamil did a story on a couple of weeks ago that we actually ran, and that's to help LGBTQ seniors get into housing. So talk a little bit more about Lamda Living and what it does, and it's still growing. You're trying to get even more space for folks, right?
Well, Lambda Living is actually a program of Jewish Community Services of South Florida. So when we talk about the needs of the LGBT community, we also do the counseling and case management across the spectrum, and they're very committed to LGBT causes. And Lamda Living is a program for seniors. We have launched our pilot project for Lamda Living House, where we have 3 people that we have put into a residential building, and we're watching them, and we are in the process of the necessary exploratory work to get us to phase 2. And in our phase 2, we envision an intergenerational model where we will have LGBT youth, both homeless youth and youth aging out of the foster care system, and older LGBT people. And that intergenerational model, we hope, will help both the seniors and the young people succeed. Because, you know, the LGBT youth that are at risk and are dealing with homelessness and employment issues, they're going to be struggling their whole lives, and then they'll be in the same situation as seniors. So, you know, we really want to create a model where the seniors are somewhat mentoring the youth, and we're providing the necessary training and education so these young people can go on to live independent, fully independent lives.
Talk about housing discrimination for a moment, because I think most people would feel that there should be no housing discrimination across the board, whether it comes to your race, et cetera, but there's still housing discrimination within the state, correct?
Absolutely. And, you know, when we talk about discrimination in any sense, you know, employment, housing, accommodations, a lot of times people find ways to work the system so that they don't get accused of discrimination. But almost half of LGBT older couples have faced discrimination when trying to rent properties. And the visible LGBT community that you see, the marketing things that they throw out, like with the incomes and use your marketing dollars, that's not all of the LGBT community. There's a serious part of the LGBT community who live in poverty. And you don't see them, so it's easy to say they don't exist.
You were nodding your head, Steve. Talk about that for a moment.
Well, I think that so much of the messaging that people receive, you know, these are all best case scenarios. You know, we assume that all the travelers, all the LGBTQ people who are traveling, they all have expendable income that they can all afford. But what Cindy was saying is absolutely true, that most of these people are working in service jobs if they have employment at all, and that they can, you know, barely make ends meet, let alone travel. And I think one of the other issues I think that needs to be addressed is that in our culture today, in the LGBTQ community, we encourage people to come out of the closet. We message to people that it's very important that if everyone were out of the closet, that there'd be less discrimination, that it, you know, now's the time, come out. But, you know, I always talk to young people and tell them, you come out of the closet when you're safe, when you're comfortable to come out. Just because your friends are coming out at 14 doesn't mean that you should come out, because you've got to make sure that you have a roof over your head, that it's not going to wreck your education. You have to be very cautious and know that your family will embrace you and that they won't just kick you out.
Your story is an individual story, is basically what I hear you saying.
Absolutely.
All right, Dylan, talk about that for a moment. I guess you deal a lot with that at Compass, correct?
Yeah, we do. And just to back up everything that Steve said, like, you really, like, there's no cookie cutter way of coming out of the closet, because, like, everyone goes through different things. Like, what I said during the segment earlier was I came from a little bodunk town in Northeast Georgia, compared to my friends over here who, like, grew up in, like, suburban Atlanta and whatnot. Like, we come from different backgrounds, so, like, trying to come out in high school in little bodunk Northeast Georgia is totally different. It's totally different.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here. Great information. We really appreciate it. It will be an ongoing conversation. We promise we'll have you back.
Thank you.
Great discussion again. Thanks for joining us, Dylan and Cindy, and of course, Steve from the Herald. And do you have a comment on the housing challenges facing South Florida's LGBTQ population? We'd love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts via email. Go to our Facebook page @YourSouthFL. You can always send us a video or a message about topics impacting you and your community. We look forward to hearing from you.